Welcome to another edition of The Book of Jake. This is an episode where we talk to really interesting people who can add value, and also usually my guests are better looking than me and also smarter than me and probably richer than me also. Most of them are actually. So anyway, please like, subscribe and share also. So without wasting anybody's time, I'd like to introduce you to an old friend of mine, Pierre Pang, who is the group CEO of Mamee Double Decker. So welcome to the show, Pierre.
Thanks for having me.
So again, I like to reiterate, he's everything that I'm not, except we are born on the same day. I sometimes call him my twin brother. He's born on the 7th of October. Do you know that Putin was born on the 7th of October?
Oh, really? So I need a bit of time to process whether that's a good thing or not. But yeah, I think it's
Putin
significant.
and Simon Cowell.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, it's okay. Simon Cowell I can relate because I'm sharp like that with my tongue. So anyway, welcome to the show. We'll get straight to it. Mamee Double Decker. So when you were growing up, and did you ever think that you succeeded in 2019 as the group CEO, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever think that you'll get here?
Yeah. You know, Jake, we are a very tight-knit family. I'm the third generation in the business. The business was founded by my granddad and my dad collectively. But we're transitioning into the third generation. The business was founded in 1971. And all I knew growing up being a tight-knit family is that, business is family and family is business.
Oh, that's very, very
So
profound.
it's not something that I can tell you that, there's clear ambitions in the from a young age that business want to do, but I think it didn't stray too far away from it. So if you imagine that every holiday, every meal, every weekend with family, we also talk about business. So it was just very natural in the sense whereby there wasn't a clear separation between what is a family talk and what is a business talk. I think there probably isn't any conversation at all where we never talk about business. Even if at a young age where we were not involved yet, but around dinner table, the first generation, the second generation coming back from work was talk about the business, and we'll talk about the challenges, and we'll talk about the opportunities, and it was just something that we absorbed from a very, very young age. So no, unfortunately, I didn't have the clarity that this is something that I eventually want to succeed in terms of being one of a senior member in management for the family business. But it was just very natural, I guess.
But is this what you want to do? I'm sure like when I was young, I wanted to be a rock star. But what about you? What do you want to be?
I think given that subliminal conditioning, hearing to all the conversations, I thought that was actually something that's very interesting, very intriguing. I think the other part also that I think based on the family values, I give a lot of credit to the first gen and second generation. I believe they have brought us up the right way with the right values. And ultimately, we're very conscious from a very young age that, number one, everything that we have today, Jake, even what my children enjoy today, it was all because of that one thing that unifies the family, which is the family business. So therefore, there's a sense of responsibility that, in a way, when you talk about the national level, it's about patriotism, right? But in this instance, that's that level of family patriotism that we feel that eventually, if we can contribute, it is our duty. You know what I mean? So naturally, that was formed over the years.
So subconsciously, this is being instilled from generation to generation, right?
I can't imagine that was planned by the first and second generation that this is how we are going to subliminally condition them, but it was just so natural, I guess entrepreneurialism flows into the blood, right? And ultimately, it also helps that the category of the business is also something that is fun, right? So it's not like we're trying to sell, we own a coal mine business, we're trying to sell coal to another business-to-business relationship, but rather this is a fun thing. And for me, I was always naturally inclined and enjoyed the idea of marketing, advertising. That was actually the start of my career, getting into Ogilvy, doing advertising. So I guess it was very, very natural for me. I was lucky in that sense.
So let's get to the start. I remember Mamee Monster as that yellow packet with that monster there, and then you sprinkle the thing and then you eat it and all that. Did you even think that from that reiteration, it can be what it is now?
Yeah. I guess let's start with a few trivias, right, Jake? So guess how many packets of Little Mamee Monsters that we sell in Malaysia a month?
I would say in the hundreds of thousands now.
Go higher?
Million.
A bit higher?
Okay, billion?
No.
10
so
million.
basically, 20 million packets a month, thereabouts, right? And ultimately, we're just talking about Malaysia.
The same one, right?
Correct, the same one, right?
Okay.
So the story of that actually is very interesting, right? That it actually came out of desperation or came out of crisis. So the business started in 1971, and the first product or the first category that we got into was actually not snacks but instant noodles, and not under the Mamee brand name. It was actually a brand name called Lucky.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And one thing we learned is that just because you call yourself lucky does not mean you're lucky, right? So that product failed, and only because it was ahead of its time. So you imagine in 1971.
Let me stop you there. What do you say is ahead of its time?
Yeah. So if you think about it, I mean, in 1971, a packet of instant noodles was about 20 cents. But if you go to the roadsides, you get a Me Mama or whatever that is, right? A fresh bowl of noodles for about 50 cents.
Okay.
So it's ahead of its time in terms of there was not a lot of value beyond convenience.
Okay.
You know? There was not, people are not buying it because it was significantly great in value.
Yeah.
Or it's something that ultimately they are well educated about instant noodles and the need of convenience. Back then, the need of convenience was
it was not there. Yeah,
correct.
Precisely.
So it ahead of its time in that sense. And my grandfather actually came from Hainan, and naturally, when he landed here in Malaysia, he started a coffee shop. And with the skill set that he honed, maintaining his own refrigerator, he had the opportunity to be introduced into the automotive business where he buy and sell vehicles, but also services them. So he further honed his technical expertise. And eventually he stumbled upon a group of Taiwanese that introduced him the opportunity to go into instant noodles manufacturing, right? So he thought, hey, look, I have this, I know a bit about, maintaining my own fridge, fix cars and all that. Technically, I have the skill sets to perhaps run a factory, right? So he took the leap of faith, and then clearly betting the farm onto it, and then realized that there was no demand, because the product was ahead of its time, right? So my dad at that point, in a way, did not have the resources to go overseas to study or even to go into university. So he joined my granddad in building up this business. So they do everything, right? In the morning, you go into the factory and you will run the factory. In the afternoon, you take the products that's produced and you go and sell. So in one of his sales calls into Alo Gajah, driving past the rubber estate, he realized there were some kampung kids who actually consume instant noodles right out without cooking it. Yeah.
Okay.
So he was struggling to sell this product, and he always, I don't think it was a joke, but it's a real thing where you leave the days with 30 cartons to sell, but you come back with 35 because people are returning the product, right? So you're having this trouble, and we were really pressed financially, right? But then the insight came when technically you can eat instant noodles without cooking it because it's already been steamed and deep fried. It's just not flavored.
Okay.
So with that, he had the thought that, hey, if instant noodles is ahead of its time, but maybe I can turn it into a snack, right? And ultimately that could be of demand at that period, right? In early 1970s. So the added process that we have added to Mamee Monster from instant noodles is that after steaming the noodles, we dunk it into chicken soup, and it holds the flavor, and then you deep fry it. So the only difference between regular instant noodles and Mamee Monster is there's added process of dunking it into chicken soup before you deep fry it, and therefore the flavor retains, right? And that changes the whole trajectory of Mamee and the family business from that onwards. Yeah.
So what's amazing is you all managed to take a lot of those days we used to call it tuck shop. Tuck shop money was given to your family, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I always say, maybe I've not told you this, but thank you for putting me through college. So we're very grateful.
Anyway, so let's move to now, currently, and you've done some amazing things with Mamee, and a lot of people don't understand that. Apart from this, you're also growing globally. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah. So to give you a bit of context, in 1971 till about end of 2018. About 40 over years in, we had built a revenue of about 780 million ringgit.
It's massive, yeah.
From 2019 to 2023, as we start the transition into the third generation leadership, we doubled the business to 1.5 billion. So in 5 years, we did the same revenue as we did in about 42 years. And a lot of that basically came from the mindset that what got us here will not get us there.
It's brilliant, yeah.
Yeah. It's very clear that the the needs of the consumers has evolved. So if you think about a young mother today who is buying a snack for the child or buy instant noodles, her requirement will be very different from 2 generations ago, right? Because of education, exposure, as well as greater understanding of nutrition, right? And also disposable income, right? The needs of the modern consumer is clearly very different from the past. So the world has changed, right? The second part really is also the workforce have changed. The people in the business needs have changed. So I'll give you an example. The average age of our organization is 38, 39 years old. And the average age of our C-suite is about 42, 43 years old, right? So we also built with a very, very young team. And clearly the way the young team choose to work or prefer to work or optimize in terms of their ability to contribute is very different from the past, right? In the past, the idea of 9 to 5 is something of a
very
norm.
flexible with that.
Yeah, only because we have to be relevant. In order to be relevant today, we have to be relevant to the context of being an employer today, and also the context of being a manufacturer, or context of being the context of serving the consumer today, which have clearly changed. You know what I mean? We don't think that there will be a business for us to do at this scale if we continue to assume that what used to work 30, 40 years ago in terms of products and nutrition will continue to be very relevant 40 years from now. So we have to make all these adjustments. Yeah.
So it's a good segue to what I wanted to ask. Do you all have a iteration of Mamee going into the future where you start to ingrain into health and fitness?
You know, Jake, I remember when the last time I met you at gym, which is quite a while ago.
Not fitness first.
Yeah. So,
we actually did have a workout together.
And you came to me and you said that, hey, bro, have you ever thought about, high protein instant noodles, right? And at the point I was like, I couldn't relate, right? But fast forward till now, right? I think there's probably at least 8 years since then. We're about to close a round of investment with an American company that produces high protein, low carbs instant noodles. So this company produces...
Is it like konjac or...?
No. It's basically, a lot of it is plant-based protein in the noodle cake. But imagine one noodle cake, which is 69 grams, have 23 grams of protein.
That's
with
massive.
Only 3 grams of carbs, right?
Net carbs.
Net carbs, right? Okay. And we're putting in an investment to own 15% stake in this company, and we're expensing close to 50 million ringgit.
Just with the word protein, you got my attention.
Correct. Really. So why is that the case? So perhaps specific to Mamee Monster, we have not evolved towards that, what we call a better for you product, but we have made, this will be our second investment. The other investment that we've done is in this American business as well called the Good Crips Company.
Yes.
Where we do plant-based, not high protein, but gluten-free, non-GMO, no added MSG, all natural sort of ingredient set. So that's also a business that we invested in US. So back to this instant noodles case study we talked about. This business was founded only about 3 years plus ago. They already, in 3 years, have a revenue of over $20 million US.
That's
right?
Very decent, yeah.
As part of their cap table, part of the investors, you have people like Dua Lipa, Usher, as well as Naomi Osaka, some of all these high-profile investors who have already invested. Mamee is closing our round towards the end of this year. And we will be also manufacturing for them, right? And we're doing a lot of the R&D work for them as well. So ultimately, this is what I mean by we have to be ahead of trends. Now, would every consumer today, here if you walk out and say that, would high protein instant noodles be something that you need to have? Maybe not today. But we just asked ourselves 2 questions in the boardroom, right? Number 1, if we close our eyes and imagine the next generation of consumers, say 10, 15 years from now, the simple question of would they expect higher nutritional value in the food that they consume? The answer is, I think, a resounding yes. The second question we asked ourselves is that would instant noodles and snacking would still be part of their repertoire? Chances are
definitely
be. So therefore, the only job to be done left is to innovate ahead, to inject more nutrition into this, right? And what we realized is that about 5 years ago when we did all these investments, a lot of the multinationals are not in this space because one of the things I learned in my time in Harvard Business School is that disruptive innovation never happens in a large-scale organization. Why? Because whatever revenue you get doesn't move the needle.
Risk averse also.
Correct, risk averse, right? So the mindset is always, when time comes, we just buy up all these companies.
They wait for somebody to innovate.
Correct. So 5 years ago, we really started looking into the future. Again, like what I mentioned, based on the idea that what got us here will not get us there, right? In order to protect the legacy, to transcend the third generation, we have really to think one generation ahead to protect ourselves from disruption. And this investment into Good Crips company happened 5 years ago. And imagine if 10 years from now, a big part of consumers around the world want in their repertoire instant noodle or a pack of snacks that is all natural, no added MSG or artificial ingredients, and of high protein or high fiber, etc. We would already have 15 years of experience selling and have skill.
You're head of the market.
Correct. So our thoughts is really like this, right, Jake? Very similar to learning from the EV market. But 20 years ago, we studied that, China realized that they will never be bigger than Volkswagen or Ford or GM at the game of ICE engines, right? So they started the journey of investing for the next generation, right? So they gathered the raw materials required to build EVs and batteries, etc. And then now you fast forward 10 years in. And as demand becomes mainstream, they have created a lead that is not surpassable, right?
This is mama mentality, man.
Correct, exactly, right? So we try to adopt the same thing whereby I don't think it'd be realistic for us to say that, look, in the next 5-10 years, we can be bigger than the biggest players around the world, right? In instant noodles or snacking. But we're investing in the next generation where we are leapfrog a whole generation. And ultimately, 10-15 years from now, when consumers' preference change to be having a higher nutritional requirement, we're already the market leader then.
But I think the requirement is already there. I'll explain why. Because information right now is free. Okay, people can go into TikTok or YouTube or anywhere and understand that a high protein diet is so important. You need to have consume 1 gram protein per pound and stuff. And people understand this. So generally, we are being programmed, positively. So, and I spoke to even Ruben from Etika, and I said, dude, you really need to get into this protein thing because every time I see a protein, a name protein on a label, my eyes light up. I says, you know what? Hey, probably I'll be getting this from there. And if you can give me 20 grams or 23 grams from an instant noodle, I'm like, okay, I've hit
nothing artificial in there, natural ingredients. So what's interesting, Jake, in the past, people think about protein, right? And they think about, highly buffed up guys like you, right?
Oh.
But how this business...
Hey, thank you for saying I'm highly buffed up.
I mean,
thank
dude,
you.
I mean, you are the gold standard, right? So if you think about it, how does a company like this, even in America, able to build, you talk about 25 million ringgit, 25 million US dollar revenue is over 100 million ringgit in just 3 years. It cannot be just people who are going to gym. So as you know, like in America, a big part of the population are taking Ozempic, right? In order to lose weight.
Yes.
And what the doctors are telling them is that, great, you're losing weight, but you're not losing weight via exercise, right?
Yeah, you're also losing fat and muscle together.
And you're losing a lot of muscle. So therefore, the prescription from the doctor's office is that you need to consume a lot more protein. And therefore, in America today, maybe not here yet in Malaysia, everybody's scrambling to get as much protein as they can, right? From all form of source, right? Now, it's not also healthy for you to only consume it from red meat, for example.
Actually, I would disagree with you, but there's a story for another day.
Yeah, perhaps, right? So I guess whether the word is good for you or sustainable and all of a sudden, we leave that for a separate conversation. But
convenience.
Correct. People are looking for convenience and people are looking for protein, right? And this is coming from the doctor's office. So therefore, manufacturers like us have to innovate into that space, right? So ultimately, that's where we're at, right? So a combination of ensuring that our legacy portfolio continue to do well for us, but to ensure also that we future-proof ourselves from disruption and be ready for the future. And that's a big part as to how the business has been able to double in the space of 5 years. And the goal is that by 2030, we're able to double again to about a revenue of
2030.
In about 5-6 years time, to double again to have a revenue of about 3 billion ringgit.
Wow, that's massive. So your second generation punks must be very excited about this growth and stuff like that. But tell me, how many countries are your products available in now?
So we are available in between 60 to 70 markets. But one of the things that we're doing differently is that we started the journey, Jake, if I can track back a bit, in around the 1970s, there were many food companies that was born together with Mamee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I won't go on to name names here, but we have many very successful food companies, right? But when the third generation joined the business at around 2005, we realized that growth was stagnating. For 30 years, not just Mamee, but all these other food companies, whether it's in biscuits, snacks, or whatever it is, were growing very healthily, selling in Malaysia and exporting out of Malaysia, out of only two value propositions. Providing a great quality product, but run the manufacturing process so leanly that you're able to price your product about 20% cheaper than multinationals.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the business model that everyone thrived in for 30 years. And then going into the turn of millennial in around 2005, we realized that our growth was stagnating. And when we look around all these other peers, their growth was also stagnating or in a slight decline, right? And what we could not understand is why is the case? Because the secret source of growth for all of us was great quality product, great tasting, but sell it cheaper than a multinational because we're running more efficient, right?
Is it the price
Correct.
point?
So it's quality and price point. But if you look at that point, 2005 versus the early days, the price point was more affordable than ever because economies of scale, costs go down. Quality was better than ever because with scale, we're able to afford a great R&D process, a great R&D team, and also improve the product over time. So why are we all not growing anymore? Long story short, we realized that at the turn of the millennial, we were serving a new breed of consumers.
Okay.
And these young millennials are coming into the market with stronger disposable income, greater needs because they're exposed with the internet, etc. And
the requirements
have changed. So we realized that during my grandfather's time, the most valuable company in the world, if you go to Forbes list, you will see many banks like HSBC up there. You will see Bank of America. You will see commodities companies like ExxonMobil. In 2005 or today, you go to the Forbes most highly valued list and who do you see? You don't see commodities company anymore. You hardly see any form of banks. But what's funny is that you see brands like Apple on there. You see, many other branded companies that are very good at not just selling a commodity, but also good at selling a feeling that's up on this.
I speak about this so much. What are you selling, a product or a feeling? Yeah.
Exactly. So what we were confused then was that how would that be relevant to us selling a 30, 40 cent snack or a 50 cent, 60 cent noodle, instant noodle into the market? How is this relevant to us? So we look into a few brands. If you wanted, at that point, Apple was selling a phone for about 6,000-7,000 ringgit. If you wanted the core functions of what a smartphone could do, which is take a good photo, WhatsApp and all that, right? The China phones like Oppo, much better specs on paper, and also physical delivery of it. But why are they only selling about half the price of Apple?
Selling a feeling. They're selling to me, and I always tell people this. It's like buying a Rolex. They don't sell a watch.
Exactly.
They sell a status.
Correct. So the same thing also that, and now it's maybe a bit more sensitive, right? But Starbucks, right? If we can use the example. If what you are paying for is a caffeine kick, right? Why is it that a Americano at Starbucks costs 8 times, 9 times more than kopi o kosong in a Mama or a kopitiam? Doesn't make sense, right? And that's where it gives us a realization that the new generation or how modern forward-thinking companies add value is not just about the physical delivery of the product, but their ability to develop an emotion or a feeling.
Brilliant.
And as soon as we understood that, Jake, we changed our whole business model. Not to say that quality and value is no more important. Clearly, quality is important because that's the only reason to sustain in the long run. Value is important in our part of business because if you are priced too highly, you cannot capture the big mass, and snacking and it's a mass game, right? But the third part really is about how can we concurrently, the keyword here is concurrently deliver quality, value, and excitement at the same time. Because not many people can do that. Most legacy companies do two things well, right? Quality, value, but they don't understand consumer well enough or the marketing game of social media, for example.
Is that by choice?
I guess by being stuck in the past, by being conservative, by following the rule book of the past. We have always done this well, why change, correct?
It's the Nokia story,
correct, exactly, right? Nokia, Kodak story, there are many stories down there. But then on the other flip side, you have the startups who are fantastic at quality and product relevance, fantastic at engaging the consumers, but they don't have economies of scale to price it at the level where mass can adopt. So most companies can do two of these three things well. But if we could do the Q, quality, the V, value, and the E, excitement well, what we call now our new evolve, what we call secret sauce, QVE well, we have a strong moat that we can define. And since then, we do all the collaborations. We do the partnership with Man United. Controversial, I know, but
I was just about to get into that.
Reiterate that was 2011.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I was very excited about that because to me, it's a brand like Mamee Double Decker suddenly teaming up with Manchester. I hate to say it, Manchester United. And I remember you spoke to me during that time. And how did that transpire? You're a Man U fan now, right?
No, I was Newcastle to be honest, but unfortunately I'm Man U now, right? So
I like the word you chose. Unfortunately,
I'm honest like that. So in 2010, we asked ourselves a question, right? Because I took over the export portfolio and we have a fixed marketing budget and that's divided by 60 markets. And really each market have very negligible funds to do anything at all. So we felt that wasn't very efficient.
You consolidated it.
Correct. So we thought, if we were to consolidate all our money, what can we invest in? One thing that could give us an impact to all of it, right? So then the idea of Man United came about, right? And we visited them and we struck a deal. The question was, how has that impacted us? So in 2011, right, you imagine this, the partners of Man United back then, you have people like DHL, all this Aeon, all these big conglomerates or multinational companies around the world. And then suddenly, there's this little Mr. Potato,
Mr. Potato
logo, right? So then we have calls from Bloomberg, from CNN, and all these other press wondering, because Man United was at a peak back then, right? Sir Alex Ferguson won the 19th title going to the 20th, and it was at a peak of media interest. And then suddenly, United announced that they've signed up Mr. Potato, these potato chips with this weird logo with a sombrero and a thick mustache. And when they Googled it, they found out that this was a Malaysian-based company based in Malacca. And they're like, where the hell is Malacca? So there was a lot of intrigue in terms of, wow, there was a lot of story to write about Man United and how they have the ability to even attract a small company like Malacca all the way to be their global partners. So on that front, it created a lot of sustained value for us. It put us in the map in terms of a serious global player and essentially met the brief, right, of what we want to achieve. That we can walk into any supermarkets or any distributor around the world and we had the credibility because we have tied up with a partner like Man United. So on that front, since then, it's created a lot of relationship, a lot of very sustained and long relationship, whether it's with media, whether it's with distributors or whether it's with retailers.
How long did you all have that?
2011 to 2014.
Yeah. So then you all got Neymar, right?
Yeah. So since then, we first signed up, before Neymar, we signed up actually a Korean celebrity, right? So let me share and contrast with Neymar, right? So the Korean celebrity costs the same amount as Neymar. But the Korean celebrity has 20 million Instagram followers and Neymar had over 200 million. Neymar's deal was 1 whole year. The Korean celebrity only limited us to 6 months.
Wow.
Neymar allowed us to activate the promotion in all of Middle East, all of Asia, including China, and all of ANZ, right? Australia, New Zealand, right? But the Korean celebrity only limited us to 5 countries in Southeast Asia. So I put it in context, same dollar value amount. Neymar was 12 months. The other Korean guy was 6 months. All of Asia, Middle East, and Oceania versus just 5 countries in Southeast Asia. In terms of sales impact, we have over 60% market share here in Malaysia at a point for Mr. Potato. Sales went up by 40%.
Wow, that's amazing.
In our export markets like Indonesia, Thailand, it doubled. Tripled.
Utilizing Neymar, you mean?
Utilizing the Korean guy.
Okay.
Neymar didn't move anything for us. So then you ask yourself, right, as a marketer, what the hell went wrong? On paper, you're talking about a longer duration, double, a much wider, geography that you can market this. And Neymar had over 200 million Instagram followers versus 20 million. A very important thing that we learned by this is that influencing ability and celebrity popularity is two very different things. Neymar may have collected his fan base over 15 years. They may still follow him, but they're not passionate about him. When he endorsed something, they're like, I don't have the need to go out there to try it. But this guy, when he put on a Burberry jacket that he's endorsing, for example, people ask, wow, where can I find this? How much is it? You look so good and all that.
A real influencer.
Correct. So, just a bit of sharing of marketing knowledge, right? So typically people look into, follower base. That's one thing to quantify, right? The second part really is like engagement levels, how much likes and how much, comments. But the reality is that all these are not important. What's important really is about the quality of comment. For example, if you Neymar hosts up our product and they said, oh, Neymar, you're so good looking. I like how you're dressing or something. That has zero value to the brand that he's endorsing. Versus a comment that says that, wow, where can I find this? It looks really, really tasty. So the comment needs to be related to the product that he's endorsing in order to create value for the brand that is paying him, right? So that's something we learn, right? That it's not only about how many followers this person have, it's about the influencing ability. Now, how do you get around identifying whether this person has influencing ability? You look at velocity is important as well within a short period of time, how much comments you have, and within the comments, how much of it is relevant to your brand. Of course, with AI and all that in the future, a lot of this can be done a lot simpler. But in the meantime, we have a fantastic marketing team that has done a very good job identifying and understanding this. And that has helped us tremendously.
Looks like you guys have actually ahead of the curve in terms of data analytics, marketing, and stuff like that. And did you spoke about the Harvard Business School, and did your sort of your face there help with this?
I think the biggest impact that I had back then was having a lecture by this professor called Professor Clayton Christensen. He was the father of disruptive innovation. So if you read all the books about the idea of disruptive innovation, he was the father of it. And he, in fact, even worked with Steve Jobs on iPhone, the first version of iPhone to disrupt BlackBerry, for example. And his basic thesis is that, just as you've seen in Kodak or Sony and all these other companies and case studies, real disruptive innovation cannot exist within a large-scale organization because, number one, your processes will not allow for it. Because big companies need governance and therefore they have all these rules and procedures.
Completely agree.
And the other part is that your innovation cannot move fast enough or disruptive enough in the big company because of the processes. And also, when it comes to market, your sales team will have zero interest to sell it because it's hard to sell a new product.
Yeah, and salespeople are, of course,
if I can sell 100 cartons of something, why I want to push and work hard for one carton? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So ultimately, there is very rare or to zero real innovations that came up from big companies. But a lot of innovations come from young startups that are nimble, hungry, and also adaptive. So therefore, the impact that I've had in Harvard was specific to this one thing where we're not going to try to launch new innovations like a high protein noodle on our own because we always be distracted by today's priorities to have enough profits to not
collaborate, right?
So what we do is just like a analogy of, we see Mamee today at about 1.5 billion revenue. We're not the biggest, but not exactly small as well. We see ourselves like a cruise ship, right? It's great to be a big cruise ship because you have stability in finances, you have economies of scale and all that. But the bigger you are, the slower you get, right? Not by design, but by governance. You just have to have that because you got to protect what you already have.
Safety and something.
But we also know that the world is moving so fast and faster every day and that we cannot just rely on the innovation that we can have in our four walls. So we came up with the idea that how can we invest in speedboats while we drive our own.
Very interesting analogy.
Right? So we see Mamee today, the mothership, as this big cruise, but flanked by speedboats that we're investing in. The Good Crits company, we recently bought and acquired another Singaporean-based premium snacking company called the Golden Duck. And we're putting in this new investment into this new American high-protein instant noodles. So we want to work with our competitors, so to speak, to really innovate with them. So there's a win-win beauty element down there. We are able to tap on into their latest innovations and their R&D work and their consumer insights. But in turn, we are able to help their costs. Remember I talked about the QV earlier?
Yes.
Big companies like us may have Q and V locked in, but not so much the E. They have the E, they have the Q. They don't have the V. They don't have the skill to be able to produce at that cost. So overnight, when we help them manufacture, they are able to tap into our R&D resource globally, then they're able to tap into our procurement resource. So they'll be buying packaging or flour or palm oil at the level that we are buying at our scale, instead of them at startup level. So there's that win-win, And that's how we have come to a conclusion that is the best, most optimized model where to grow sustainably for long term. And not to have the Chinaman mentality that if you can make $1, make 100% of the dollar, right? We believe that there's enough to share and there's enough to grow together, right? And ultimately win together. So that mindset is quite different.
So let's get to the fun part. What's the story behind the Mamee monster?
Okay. Yep. So
Sesame Street.
Yeah. Tracking back to the story I told you about, my dad observed that kids were consuming the product as a snack rather than an instant noodle. So he came back and he went to his friend who was working in an advertising agency and said, look, I have this vision of turning this into a snack and I want to market to kids. And the guy with his friend with the advertising experience came and said, okay, then you definitely need a mascot and you need a new name because Lucky won't cut it, right? So then my granddad and my dad brainstormed, and then my granddad had a brilliant idea, which was, what is something that's simple to pronounce? Like even kids can pronounce it. What is one that can transcend geography and language barriers? And he came out with the idea of Mamee because the first words that most kids is mama or mommy. Unfortunately, not daddy, right? So it's always mommy. So even
only when they want money,
correct, right? So it's something that is so simple. It's universal, right? You go to Thailand, you go to Indonesia, you go to Europe. You say mommy and people will understand that, mother, right? So there was the brilliance there. And based on the idea that targeting kids, it'll be easier to market this via a mascot. And that's how the Blue Monster came about. Yeah.
Is blue or purple? Blue. Purple is Barney, right?
Yeah, Barney, yes.
So has there ever been a period where you've thought about, you know what, I can make a Mamee monster movie?
Yeah, when I was going through, that's exactly what we've planned. Right? So we actually...
Hey, you know what? I'm actually thinking for you,
No, that's my point. But we have actually started working with WOW, the guys who did Agent Ali. We really love the work that they do. I mean, if we're ever going to do Mamee Monster movie, it's about doing it right. And finding the right partners, the primary concern of ours. And I think, to be honest, we have started conversation with WOW 5-6 years ago, before the pandemic. It's getting real right now. So we're also speaking to guys like MDEC and all that to actually put this all together. So I think the timeline is around 2026, 2027 latest. All right, a Mamee monster movie will hit the silver screens.
That'll be the ultimate marketing tool for you, man.
Yeah, we think so.
Like I remember this movie I watched, is it Chef? Where Twitter suddenly popped up and you remember that movie? Yeah, so it's brilliant. So what's next for Mamee Double Decker? You've come so far. What is
So a lot of times when we speak of the brand Mamee, people think only about the Blue Monster, but actually 60% of our business come from our potato range, Mr. Potato and beyond. So the goal really is that in order to double the business in the next 5-6 years from what we've done since 2023, we're very clear that the mindset that what got us here will not get us there. Clearly, now mastering the QV idea, we are replicating it across geographies like in Thailand, in Indonesia, and all these markets are doing very well. But we've always been brought up to have the siege mindset that it's never enough. We have to keep progressing. We cannot just say that, we have this new, what they call secret sauce, and let's just replicate it and job is done for this generation. So therefore, we're coming up with another growth engine, and that's really around the idea that how can we still provide great quality product, but instead of selling it on the lower end to give deep consumer value, how can we differentiate and how can we still excite? So instead of QVE, a second growth engine will be QDE, quality, differentiation, and excitement.
Okay.
And that's where we're investing further into all the disruptive innovation companies like the high protein instant noodles company, the gluten-free non-GMO potato chip company, etc. So the next 5 years, we have to add new capabilities, right?
So would you consider it ancillary to support the main business? Or?
It's ancillary today, Jake, but in 15 years from now, we believe that is core, right? So ultimately, what capabilities we have to invest in today in order to be ready for that tomorrow? Beyond everything that we have, there are 3 pillars that we've identified that we have to enhance further and invest today. The first question is around sustainability. Today, when we sell our products, we ship about 60 containers a month, 40-footer, to US every month. And a consumer there who is buying this product from Whole Foods turn the product around and see that it's made in Malaysia. Now, they don't have any quality concerns coming from Malaysia, but all they do is they'll go into their phone, look at Google Maps, and they see that Malaysia is all the way around the other part of the world. And their first concern is, carbon footprint.
Mm.
If these guys are going to ship hundreds, right, of containers every month, now that's not carbon friendly, and that's true. So therefore, we have to build more factories around the world in order to lower our carbon footprint, and that's what we're working on. So the first idea is sustainability. So when we look at the idea of sustainability, it comes around people, right? So we have to ensure that we take care of our people, including our foreign labours, very, very well. The second part really is about the energy that we use to produce these products here in Malaysia today is a combination of solar and natural gas, both of which are deemed to be clean energy, right? The other part really is about packaging. By 2026, we have to be fully recyclable, right? And of course, to lower carbon footprint, we can't ship 1,000 containers out of Malaysia every month, right? And that's not going to be carbon friendly. So we have to think about all that, and we need to invest today. So sustainability is the new key pillar. The second pillar is about the idea of how we're able to master the idea of better for you, right? How are we able to produce snack that still tastes so good, but is lower in sodium, that is higher in fiber, that is higher in protein, without sacrificing taste?
Sounds like me, man. I cook my own food with that in mind.
But that's reality. So that's what I mean by, is that a niche project that you're doing today? Yes, but that's going to be core tomorrow. It's like the Chinese invested in EV 15, 20 years ago, and that back then it was niche, but today it is mainstream, right? So investments don't happen overnight. You have to invest over a generation. You have to invest over years, you know what I mean? So that's what we're doing. So the first part is ensuring that we can travel around the world and consumer can pick up and they know that this product has a very high sustainability standard. This product is better for me without sacrificing taste. Because the reality is, if you have all these health claims, but it tastes crap, it tastes like a cardboard, nobody's going to buy.
I've tasted some really bad protein bars.
Correct, because this is essentially not replacing your main meal. It's an indulgent product, right? That is impulsive. So it has to still taste good in spite of all this better for you claims. So there's a lot of R&D work that happens right now. And the third part is really how we can make it sustainable, how can we make it better for you, but yet taste fantastic, indulgent still. So if we can master these three pillars, then we will be able to create a new growth engine.
That's really good.
That can really travel around the world. Like I said, only because the smaller local players may not have the resources or the imagination to invest in this area, but the bigger boys really see it's too small right now for me really to pay attention into it. So they're just going to be wait and see mode. So we're doubling down on that.
That's brilliant. So before we end, this has been a masterclass and I really appreciate this. If there was somebody who's new in the business or somebody who's you have a very strong marketing mind, I see. What are the three top things you could, share for them to actually improve their marketing? One thing that I really like, which I also talk about a lot, is like even when I came to Media Prima and I'm consulting Media Prima audience, is we don't sell a radio station, we sell a cause, we sell a product, we sell an emotion. People talk about that, So what are the three things that you think I could, or somebody new could, grab from this? Okay.
Jake, if I can just zoom out a bit and talk about the three things around business rather than marketing, right? A core philosophy which I would like to, impart and share, which has worked tremendously for us. In business, it's really about, regardless of whether you're running a radio station or you're selling a pack of instant noodles or you're selling whatever it is, service or product, it is a people business. So I always preach the idea of a 3P, right? In business, today or tomorrow, while strategies change, product and nutrition needs are different, three things which will always be constant from the day of my grandfather founded this business in 1971, and hopefully by the time I retire. The first P out of the three Ps is, of course, people/culture. You can inherit the best brands in the world, you can have the best machine in the world, but if you don't have the right people to come together to run it, all these so-called assets will eventually go to nothing. Because the best people as well was put together the second P, which is the best plans, right? So the best people can solve the biggest problems and the best people can build the best plans, the second P. And the third P is, with success, therefore, we need to put in a process to replicate all this success. So we talk about QVE now becoming a plan. And right now, to replicate it, we have a process that replicating it. So a lot of people say that, wow, looking back, right, Mamee have all this innovation, Mamee have all these ideas, right? All I need to do is just copy that. You can do it one time, but can you do it again and again? So ultimately, innovation has to be replicated in the process where long after I'm gone, it's embedded in the culture and the process that we are able to constantly innovate. And that's a lot of times what people don't appreciate, that, this company did very well in this, I'm just going to copy, I'm being successful. No, the culture of innovation needs to be ingrained in the process and the mindset of the people in order to replicate this again and again and again. So therefore, it's first ensuring that you have a great crop of talent and together have a great set of culture.
So it's
people, plan, process.
Process, okay.
The best people will build the best plan. The best plan can be replicated via a process. You know what I mean? So that's the 3P, right? In terms of what, in my experience, I see in terms of building a sustainable and thriving business, and what I've observed with many other businesses as well, right? Back to your question specific to what's my advice to marketers and what we're selling. Honestly, it's about the humility to be able to not do what you want, but what consumer expects of you.
Brilliant.
You know what I mean?
This is what I tell DJs, hey, you go to a club, don't shock sendiri, play for the crowd.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I can bring this idea that, hey, look, I need 50 million ringgit to invest in this company that is barely profitable and only doing $20 million in revenue. Can I have 50 million ringgit to invest? If you look into the numbers today, there's no way any businessman can justify spending this amount of money for this type of company, right? But ultimately, looking ahead and ensuring that you're not disrupted, you're not disrupted by anyone out there, really requires a lot of courage. So the first thing I said, answering your question, is be humble enough to know that it's not about you. It's about the people you're serving. And the second part really is about to have the courage. You know, Jake, it is not easy, right? Being in the third generation and ultimately being the guy that changes the stuff, because ultimately that change could actually take down the whole legacy. But ultimately also knowing that if you don't change, history has proven that that's the worst thing you can do, right? Is to not to change, adapt to times as well. So it's really a fine line. But one of the things that I've learned from a dear friend in the early days of my career in the family business, which has helped me tremendously, is based on the idea that it is better to seek for forgiveness than to seek for permission. If there's everything we think is right to do, backed by data and all that, we see the logic there, but we don't have the courage to take the first step.
Completely agree. Yeah.
Because we're afraid to ask for permission. And the easier thing to do is to do nothing today. It's the fastest way you can take down the legacy.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So I think that's a very good advice I've got as well, that, it's better to take the first step, fail, learn, apologize, gather the right learnings and move forward. You know what I mean?
So I'll add on to that. So this month is Candy Crush 10th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
And if you think about that, somebody went there and asked some VC or somebody money, here, I got a game for something that's pops and everybody would have said no, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and they managed to do it.
Yeah. So you just have to try, and that's why I said why failing is a process. I've read about the idea that failing intelligently. So what do you mean by that, right? If you don't fail, you'll never be able to innovate. It means you're just not pushing the boundaries fast enough. But you got to fail intelligent in the sense whereby you got to do your homework before you take certain risk. You got to take calculated risk. You got to take risks that worst case scenario will not kill you, ideally, and then take every lesson as what Mark Zuckerberg used to say, fail fast, fail often, so that we can take the learnings and move forward, right? There's no way that you can grow without taking risks or with trying to eliminate failure, So therefore, I think that we really have to befriend failure, but we really need to have a process to ensure that we do it intelligently and we do it responsibly, and therefore it flows back to the idea of people. In my early parts of my career, I always tried to hire that one Superman or one Superwoman, right, who can come in and solve all my problems.
Doesn't work, right?
Yeah, after decades,
they can be destructive.
Correct. After that, I realized that this
toxic
is either toxic or it doesn't exist. There's no one man or one woman who will be able to do everything perfectly well for you. And that's where we finally dropped the idea and we started to look for a perfect team, right, but not a perfect individual. That you can be the best at what you do in your subject matter expertise. That person can be the best, procurement person that is best in class in the industry, the best CMO, the best
symphony philosophy.
Correct.
You need a good conductor.
But collectively, if they can all come together to form a good team and culture, then the team becomes perfect. So go for a perfect team, don't go for a perfect individual.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I've learned. So
I'm going to ask you about your shoes first before we leave. So you collaborated with Essex, is it? Essex,
we collaborated with Essex and also Sneaker Lab. They've done a fantastic job at it. It looks fantastic and it's sold out as soon as they announce it. Two things where I've learned also in my career that we have applied to this. in order to get the best outcome of anything that you do, find the right people with the right expertise and get the hell out of their way.
Exactly.
So
you know, the problem with the boomers and probably some parts of Gen X was they hired the best people, but then they sort of weigh in on...
Exactly. So we knew that, look, what do we know about shoes? We know nothing. All we know that we have this fun brand that perhaps we can create something fun together. So we chose very carefully the partners that we want to work with. And then we just allowed them to have all the creative freedom, you know what I mean? And that resulted in...
I want to buy the shoes. Mine is 11 US.
We will find you one. We'll find you one.
Anyway, it's been fantastic having you. You're in good shape. He's always in good shape.
I try to.
We need to catch up and work out. But I'm looking forward for the protein noodles. I'm looking forward for your reiteration. And it's really exciting to see a Malaysian brand doing so well. This has been a masterclass, guys. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, share. Also follow Pierre Pang. He's on Instagram, and also you can check him out on LinkedIn. Okay, till then, I'll see you guys next week.